Civilization 7 has a new bug, and it is absolutely evil. In this video, we are going to be exploiting it to the max. Now, you may be wondering what that bug is. Let me show you just a small clip from our previous video where we actually discovered this specific bug. This right here is a playthrough that we did recently, excuse the pixelation, that is VLC right there, where basically what is happening is that we've got a specific city-state here, and we are essentially telling it to go and attack somebody else. And when it does that, it creates a whole bunch of units and then does nothing with them. So on the surface, this might seem chaotic, might seem a little bit random, but what if I told you there's a way that we can even further exploit this? You see, one of the new leaders that's been added to Civilization 7 recently is Lakshmabai, and she's got the ability to incorporate city-states, and when she does that, she gains access to all of their units. So naturally, if you've got a city-state with hundreds of units, there's the ability to now take control of them through Lakshmabai. Now, there's no other leader that can do this. That's what this video is about. That's what we're attempting to do. Let's see whether or not we're going to be able to do it. Of course, if you'd like to play along with this save, I'll leave a link in the description to where you can join the Discord where we've got this save sitting there ready to go. And let's get to it. Let's start it off. This game, we're going to be jumping around quite a bit. It's not going to be a straight playthrough. We're just going to be taking a look at our opening plan and our building blocks as we get towards this. First and foremost, we've started off. We don't know where anybody is. We haven't met anybody. So we need to go find a target. We also need to go and find a hostile city-state. That's going to be the key. Once we've found that target and we've found that hostile city-state, we'll then start looking to bribe them. Now, the main thing that I've looked to focus around here is influence. The more influence we've got, the more we're going to be able to bribe them. And essentially, we've taken Greece here, as Greece is going to give us a base of +3 influence, which allows us to bribe them more. With regard to our start, I think we just want to open up with a standard fishing start here. Even though we've got plenty of rough tiles and they're on plains, which are the best rough tiles, we can definitely take advantage of the fact that we've got an early crabs on navigable river. So that's going to be our game plan here. It's turn 12 and we've already constructed a fishing key. Normally I like to focus a little bit more on scouts early on, but we've just gone with 2 scouts and then straight into the fishing key, which has boosted up our navigable river and will boost up all of our lake tiles here. On top of that, we're going to open with a double production or a double warehouse building by following this up with a harbor. It takes a little bit longer to get the first settler out, but it guarantees that you're going to have great production throughout the early game. As we roll over into the turn, we can also talk a little bit about our government choices. So we have gone into a classical republic. We've slotted in the 2 culture on the palace, and this is so that we can hopefully hit our religion as soon as possible. And of course, we're going to be looking for the god of the sea. It's turn 17 and we've met our first hostile city-state. The other thing to note is that we are appearing to be on the edge of the continent, which means that we want to try and find city-states over towards the east side here, and that's definitely going to be the case here as we have to retreat away from this early warrior. Ideally, we want to avoid running into them. We've also found another city-state over towards the west, which is great, but remember that by bribing them, what we're going to be doing is encouraging them to incite a raid against a leader. It's going to create units, and those units are just going to kind of chill out. They're going to be idle, and because of that, we want to avoid that happening anywhere near our house. So, of course, this is not going to be a smart choice to look to incite a raid on. This, however, is definitely going to be a lot better. Exactly where we were expecting them. Taking a look at the settler lens, we could see exactly where they were. We knew exactly what they were up to. So this is going to be our city-state that we look to bribe. The question is going to be, who are we going to be attacking? Because at this stage, we've got no idea about who is around us. It's turn 24. We've got both of our warehouse buildings completed, and you can see these tiles are starting to look quite nice, especially the crabs, which is just an incredible tile. I really do like this. We've got our first settler out, and we've also met our first other leader for today, Saida Al-Hura. She is one of the brand new leaders that has just dropped in the newest DLC, and she's on Carthage. So we'll look to see whether or not we can find out her location. Now, when it comes to our early agreements, there's really not anything in here we want to waste our influence on. We've already built up 344 influence, which is quite a bit. So we'll be looking to try and incite some raids. Now, we can go ahead and incite a raid against her, but we need to know exactly where she is, and that's what we're going to be taking advantage of today. The bug specifically allows us to keep inciting raids over and over and over again when really what should be happening is that the raid goes out and then you can't do another raid again. So that's essentially where we're going to be looking to exploit. We've also picked up our Pantheon, so indeed we'll be going for the God of the Sea for an extra +1 production on our fishing boats. You'll also notice that we've got ourselves a little bit of a Great Barrier Reef up towards this northern position, so I think we'll be looking to settle it. Ideally, we could come in here early, but if we do that, we're going to be disconnected away from our main city, and I think we want to try and settle this position because it's going to guarantee if we can pick up this wild game, it is going to boost our towns out incredibly quickly. So that's going to be the goal for us here early on. We've met our second new leader for this game. It's going to be Confucius, and of course, we're not going to be giving them any kind greetings because the truth is we don't know who we're going to be attacking just yet, but what we'll be definitely doing is looking to incite some raids early on. Now, we found another city-state over towards this top side. So if we take a look at them, we can see that they're already being befriended here. And because of that, we want to avoid going after this city-state. We are going to need to befriend our city-state eventually. So the best thing that we can do is just hope that they're not befriended by the allies. And that's going to give us more time that's going to allow their forces to build up. But we now have the option to begin raiding. So we're going to start off with a raid on Confucius. Now, normally what happens in this situation is that a raiding party of a couple of units will start moving out towards Confucius. Now, we don't actually know where Confucius is. So perhaps La Venta has already met them. And these units are going to move out across the map, down towards Confucius, and then hopefully they'll be able to take him out. That's what's meant to happen, but whether or not that actually happens is different, because once the first raid goes out, you're then able to use the second raid again on Confucius. So now there's a second army that has begun building, and if we go take a look a little bit closer towards this position on the city-state, we should be able to actually spot their units moving towards Confucius. Look at all the units now around La Venta. So we want to be very cautious about approaching them any further on in this game. Meanwhile, towards the north, we've begun settling in our cities. We've got our first settlement that's up towards the Great Barrier Reef, but not quite on it. The second settlement's going to be right on top of it. And of course, we've begun with the wild game here. So we will take a look over towards that town, and you can see we've got beautiful tiles in here, also picking up the silver, which is going to provide us a nice little bonus to all of our settlements. So at this stage, we're off to a pretty good early start here. We found a potential target, Jose Rizal. We're going to go ahead and give him a hostile greeting here, just because of his proximity to our city-state. So we're going to start things off already on a bit of a bad foot. You can see that we've discovered his location. He's got 3 settlements out already, so this may potentially be one of his starting, or it may be his capital, or it could be a secondary settlement that he has positioned. So we're going to continue exploring out here and see whether or not we can find more information out about this, because we're going to be looking to attack him eventually. We will take control of La Venta, and we will take control of the army that it's got. In the meantime, we're going to continue sending out raids. I think we're up to our 4th raid right now, which is quite a lot. We're also going to do our best. Is there a reason why we can't actually make it onto that tile? I don't know exactly what. Oh, I see. We have to go down a cliff. That's essentially it. So we're having trouble over towards Mykeen here, so we may have to invest in a slinger early on to potentially defeat these early barbarians. We'll start focusing them down ever so slowly. We've got a citizen that we need to put into this tile, but we can't actually do it. So we'll go ahead. We could look to grab the tin, but this city is not yet connected to our main city. So if we go ahead and put this down, it should actually start a connection between them, and we can now see that they're connected. Because of that, we can now go ahead and take the tin. We can also take the sheep from this city, then we can move them both into the capital. That's going to give us a nice little boost to production early on in this game. It's turn 41, and we're now in the position to put down our final town, at least for this stage of the game. We're going to opt to put our settler in this position, and this is going to allow us to start building upon the Great Barrier Reef. The Great Barrier Reef is an incredibly important early game wonder because it gives you a massive boost to your science yields. At the moment, we've only got an 18 science coming through, and as soon as we pick this up, it's going to now push us up to 20 science, which doesn't seem like much, but then once you consider the fact that there are 4 of these tiles, and they also provide a bonus to nearby reefs, that's going to be absolutely massive for this town. We're also going to make sure that when we get the opportunity, we're going to put our wild game in here. You can see that we're struggling a little bit with this settlement, and we've gone ahead and met Lafayette. Now, Lafayette, he is up towards the north position here, and we've already kind of made in our minds a target. Specifically, we've got this gentleman over here, Jose Rizal, aka the Rizla. Looks like he's playing the Mississippians today. We've located the capital. We've located a second settlement that he's got as well. Now we just need to make sure that we find all of them, because we are going to be turning every single unit against him. And of course, we're going to be inciting some raids towards him as well. It's turn 43 and it's time to check in with our capital. At the moment, we've got quite a number of fishing boats that are in here. Almost all of our fishing boat tiles are taken. We've just completed our very first unique building. That is part of our unique district, and that is the Parthenon. Not only does it provide us a culture, but it also provides us early influence, which we can now use. And currently we're sitting at 15 influence per turn, which is about 50% more than what other leaders are sitting at the moment. As you can see, each other leader is sitting at 10 influence per turn. So we're making a lot of influence, and naturally we can use that influence to send raids over towards other leaders, further increasing the size of their army. We're going to continue making sure that we scout out this position. We want to try and locate every single settlement for Jose Rizal, because we are going to be annihilating him today. Other than that, our Great Barrier Reef settlement continues to expand up towards this northern position. We're up to 23 science now, and we also get a cultural exchange. Very nice. You want to be taking these in the early game. 43 turns in feels great. With regard to our next movement, we'll be moving into the altar, primarily because this is going to provide us a boost of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 production, which is, well, 8 production apparently. We may have missed one. It is a huge amount of production that we're going to be getting from this, and arguably we should have actually picked it up before the Parthenon, but it's a little detail, and we'll be feeling very good once we've got it online. It's turn 52, and we're about to roll over into turn 53. Our capital has grown again, and slowly the wonders are falling away from us, with Jose Rizal building us the wonder of hanging gardens somewhere in this capital, I suspect. Because, well, of course, we know the truth. We're going to be taking him out soon. Now, I would absolutely love to incite more raids against Jose Rizal. The only trouble is we also need to think about befriending the La Venta people. The trouble is that there's always the risk that someone else may try and befriend them as well. So we do need to be keeping a little bit of a bank of influence in the bank. But the good news is we're doing quite well on influence. Other leaders have started to pick up as the monuments come in. We can see 13 influence for Machiavelli and 12 influence per turn now for Confucius, but we are up on 19. So we are definitely pulling ahead at this early stage. We've also now got the ability to pick up camels, mainly because even though we want to take this last little bit down here, the reason that we want camels is because we're about to get our second city online. So we'll go ahead, we'll take those camels, and they're very important for this next city. It's important that the city that you've got, or at least the target city, has got a lot of production in it. So I'm going to go with Mykeene because it's just got to 6 population, and that should hopefully give us plenty of room to move with regard to, well, our expansion on this city. So we'll go ahead and convert to it, and you'll notice that we're quite close to the borders in the north. One thing to note is that Lafayette's only got 1 settlement. So we have spawned very close to him, or rather, we've built settlements very close to him. This is his capital right here, and he's playing as Axum, so he's probably got the ability to move around to nearby islands, but we are very close. We'll go ahead and move some resources over. We want to move the wild game out of the city and keep them in the towns, and of course, we'll now move across our production resources to Mykeene, and that's going to allow us to have a little bit more oomph in here with regard to the things that we're going to be building. So we're going to start off just by moving into a brickyard. We want to start off with our production first. We're not going to be going into an altar in the settlement just because there's no need. Our Pantheon specifically related to fishing boats. So let's go ahead and do that now. So we'll start off with our brickyard. Best positions, probably something like this. Won't be too bad. And then after that, we can follow it up with a saw pit. And then after the saw pit is done, there's definitely a part of me that thinks maybe it's a good idea to move out towards this position here. Look to try and get that monument down. We could even think about potentially putting our Parthenon down on this tile right here. We don't have a lot of rough tiles, so we do need to be cautious about it, but for the moment we'll just start off with this right here. But that is where we're at this stage. We might go ahead and incite one more raid over to Jose Rizal. We don't want to befriend them just yet, because once we start befriending them, it's going to be a lot harder for us to start sending raids over towards Jose Rizal. It will actually prevent us from doing that. It's turn 58, and we're starting to have a little bit of trouble. You see, La Venta's army is getting big, and so naturally that means that there's not a lot of space for it, and they're starting to overflow towards us right now. So we have to be very cautious with how we approach this, because sometimes the units will get so close to you that you'll have no choice but to start taking them out. So we need to be very aware of that. There's quite a few barbarians across this map at the moment, and well, we need to be cautious, because I suspect we're probably going to start losing units, definitely out over towards the west, and That's, yeah, it's not a position that you want to be in. Let's take a look and see whether or not, yeah, you can see the amount of units that are in here. Definitely want to continue building this number up. Another thing to note is that we've had repeated attempts in the north here from Lafayette to start endeavors against us, or rather sanctions upon us. So at the moment, we've got a happiness sanction. We've said that that's okay. He tried to do a cultural sanction as well. We've said, no, that will not happen. And he tried to denounce us as well. So we've had to spend a little bit of influence in that direction as well. But the main thing is we're just constantly checking here on La Venta to make sure no one is befriending it at this stage. And so far, the coast is clear. Once people start befriending it, though, we're going to need to not only befriend them, but we're also going to need to boost it as well. Until that happens, though, we're just going to continue sending out raids, inciting those raids. It's turn 69, and it's time, once again, to invite the locals to come out in force, incite a little bit of a raid over towards Jose Rizal. He's over here, and he's got some beautiful lands, so we're definitely going to be looking to take them. Unfortunately, there's a lot of mountains in here, though, so we need to be cautious about how we approach this once we do eventually take control of La Venta. Meanwhile, we've got a little bit of trouble in Paradise. Sparta is suffering, unfortunately, so we're going to do our best to try and clear this out. There's a lot of units that are in here. We've done a little bit of purchasing as well, but for the moment, our defense has been pretty solid. The walls in Sparta have fallen, though, and so naturally that means that things are always going to be a little bit harder. So we'll roll over the turn. We'll see how we go. Give us a second here. Okay, we've found somewhere that we can trade to. It's down here, Lindsay, we can trade to. So we can actually bring our merchant back here, but he's been doing a wonderful job just scouting out the map. It's great having these merchants and using them to scout just because they can get through without limitation. So it's always very nice to have that. Another thing to note is that we're actually moving into citizenship, specifically to pick up the Emil Bell. Unfortunately, it's now been built by another player, so that means that we need to think about something else that we'll be picking up. We've got a beautiful spot for something on this mountain right here, or this hill right here, so another option that we could potentially look at is moving into public life for the Oracle. So we might go ahead and click that. Now, even though we're only 9 turns away, we're only 9 turns away, you know what? We'll go ahead, we'll take it. Actually, no, we want the Oracle. We want the wonder sooner rather than later. So once we've defended up towards this position, we should be fine. We're taking a little bit of flack, but I think we'll be okay, and we should be able to firm this up quite a bit. It's turn 74, and I think it's about time. When we befriend La Venta, it's going to take us 30 turns to actually become their friends. So this is only going to be really coming through about turn 100. Now, of course, we can speed that up, but every time we speed that up, it's going to mean that we can't incite more raids. And the whole idea here is that we want to get so many damn units that it is going to be impossible for our opponent to defend. We also need to start thinking about whether or not we should be denouncing our opponent over here so that the relationship begins to decay, and therefore we can go to war with them without really taking a big hit. Another thing that we've done is added in our villas. So you can see this, we've got a beautiful tile here with a monument villa on it. It's got 5 influence. We're up to 21 influence per turn. We're also adding in more buildings that provide influence across the network. We've got our +3 monument over here, which is quite nice. We've also got our Parthenon up towards the north. And the next question becomes, which city do we turn into, or which settlement do we turn into a city next? I look at Sparta and I think, well, there's not really any way that we can improve this settlement with what it's currently got. This is just operating fine. It makes sense in this position to potentially even look at converting this town into an urban center or a resort town, though this is questionable. The big focus is definitely on Olympia, though. This is probably going to become our next city, so maybe when we've got a little bit more gold in the bank, we can consider doing it. With regard to our next infrastructure project here in our capital, I think it really just depends on whether or not there's a wonder that we want to go for and whether or not we're going to be able to go for it. Public life is still underway, so we're very much waiting for the Oracle. We'll look to put it down in the middle here. That'll give us a nice little bonus towards our diplomacy as well. So that'll be our goals early on at this stage. I mean, I say early on, we're at turn 75 here, so we're getting definitely quite advanced through this game now. It's turn 80, and as you can see, the overflow from La Venta is starting to get a little bit silly. They've migrated some spearmen or pikemen into the middle of our city. Fortunately, we should be okay with this. We can always move down some reinforcements if we need to. Another thing to note, we've got our reinforcements up here at the moment, so we'll bring them back. But take a look at this. Lafayette has still got one settlement, and he's all up on this. I think it's just a peninsula that he's up on at the moment. He is absolutely squeezed in, so I'm curious to see what his spawn looks like. It's probably not going to be pretty. So let's go ahead and put down our Oracle now. We've got 4 turns until it's completed, and you can see it's going to be providing some very nice adjacencies here for us today. So we'll go ahead and put that down. You can see it's already about halfway finished, and now we can move into our uniques as well. And hopefully he doesn't move onto the Oracle. How did I just know in my heart of hearts that he was going to go onto the Oracle? It'll be okay. We'll just leave it on there for the moment, and we'll make sure that we come back. We've got to be careful coming back this route, though, because as you can see, La Venta is on standby. La Venta is ready. Now, initially, I was thinking we probably want to move into Olympia as our 3rd city, and that's definitely a viable option. However, the risk of doing that is that we run out of space. There's decent space in here, but I really like the idea of Argos becoming our 3rd city, so I think that's where our goal is probably going to be. We're slowly moving through the tech tree, though unfortunately we don't have a huge amount of science or culture at this stage of the game. So once we get our next buildings, our next set of buildings online, we've got our libraries starting to come up, our monuments are all up, we should be looking a little bit better. All right, well, the Oracle is done. She's looking good. She's in a beautiful spot right here, and unfortunately, it looks like we've got La Venta is a little bit angry at us. The spearmen's come out, so we're making moves down towards this position. Hopefully, we should be able to clean it up without having to purchase any new units. And with this Oracle, now we'll be able to spend our next point. The question is, where do we go? We could go into something like diplomacy, but I think it might actually be a little bit smarter to go into the militaristic route, just because it's almost certain we're going to need it going up against Jose Rizal. Okay, so our relationship with La Venta is escalating, I guess you could say. A couple of archers are on their way down here, as well as some more spears. So we do need to be a little bit worried about this. Now, with La Venta, we've got another 4 turns until they're friends with us. We could accelerate that if we wanted, but by doing that, it means we're not going to be able to send as many raids over towards Jose Rizal. So we're just going to bite the bullet and hope that we don't get taken out right here, right? Oh, that's painful. That's painful. But we'll be okay because we're just going to retake our capital right now. And we're okay. La Venta, she's a tough beast. But today we regain the capital, and what does that really change for us? I don't think anything really changes in here. We got to convert it to a city, so let's go. We'll convert it back to a city, but everything in here already exists. So it cost us 200 gold to lose the capital right there. So, you know, probably could have been better if we just purchased a unit instead, but, you know, you like to play with fire, and sometimes you do get burnt. Thank you, La Venta. It's taken 90 turns, but La Venta, we finally got her off our back. She is now our friend, and we can still incite raids against Jose Rizal, but it is now only 14 turns until we're suzerain of the city-state. Once we're the suzerain of the city-state, we're also going to need to actually convert it or incorporate it into our civilization. That's going to take us 10 turns. So that'll give us probably about 20 turns that we can just go to war with Jose. And look, worst case scenario, we just take him out in the next era as well. We're going to start denouncing him, though. And that, of course, just starts with a straight denouncement. You're going to get your best balance, or rather value with that, bang for your buck. You'll get the best value with that, with just a straight denouncement. So that's going to be our game plan from here. Denounce the Rizla, while at the same time slowly wait for our raids from La Venta to continue building up. Hopefully he hasn't dealt with them yet, because obviously you could look to try and take them out in the meantime. But there's a lot of units that you'd have to think about. We'll say that, that's for sure. All right, let's check in a little bit. All right, well, it looks like there's a couple more bugs that may still be in Civ 7. Interesting one here. So we've lost our capital, and because of that, this is no longer our capital. Our capital was moved to another city. We've got a city hall here instead of having our palace. Normally, you would have a palace, which provides you a little bit more yields. So naturally, you would think that that would move to Mykene, because everybody else, you take a look at Sparta as an example, it's got a city hall. But if you take a look at Mykene, there's just nothing in here. There's no palace. There's no nothing. And that means that if you want to come over here and spend your Diplo point, it's going to be +0 influence. There is no palace anywhere. There's no city hall in Mykene. So let's go ahead and do that just for the memes. 26 to 26. Sick. Wild. What's also interesting is that when you come into the policies, you don't have any culture on the palace because you don't have a palace, and you don't have any production or science on the palace. because, well, you don't have a palace. So that's another interesting little bug that's going on here just from the lack of a palace. But the good news is we can put in some policies that are actually quite a bit better. Drama and poetry together with castes, as we have indeed finally researched citizenship. That means that we can move on to greener pastures, maybe something a little bit more oriented around settlement limit. So perhaps let's go down into entertainment. It'll be 10 turns. We should be able to get another settlement down shortly. It's turn 101, and we don't have long to go before La Venta is going to be becoming part of our team. We're going to send another raid over to Jose Rizal. This will be the last one that we actually send. Now, we don't know how big this attack force is right now, but we can obviously see it on our borders at the moment. So we're hoping that it is very big, very juicy. What else? What else do we want to go into here? Maybe some army commander experience. Let's definitely do that. What other options have we got? We're going to pursue new formations. Let's definitely do that. So La Venta should be ours in just a couple of turns here. We're just going to move back and heal with you for the moment. Meanwhile, down towards the south, we're in a little bit of trouble down here, so we may have to purchase a unit just to help us out. So let's go ahead and grab an archer. It's expensive, jeez Louise, but I guess it's necessary to defend. So how long have we got left? We got 1 turn to go. We could technically incite a raid right now, but I don't know whether or not it works because it's going to take a little bit of time. So I feel like it's probably not going to work. So instead what we're going to do is we'll just hold for the moment. And now on this turn, so turn 104, it's about to come through. Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. It's exactly what we wanted. Look at the size of that army. Now, do you reckon you could have made that yourself? Probably not. Probably not. That's a lot of units. That's a lot of units. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to incorporate La Venta. It's going to take us 10 turns. Now, because of the bonus for this leader as well, not only is it cheaper for us to incorporate this city-state into our empire, it's also going to give us every single one of their units as well. And that is going to be, well, sorry, it's not this bonus here. It's right here. So that's essentially what this whole idea, this strategy is about. Of course, this is a bug for anybody who has been playing along at home or has played Civ 7. Essentially, the whole idea is that when you send a raid over to a player, you shouldn't be then able to send another raid to that player. It should just go, send those units, and then that's it. But you can just repeatedly incite as many raids as you like. And look at the amount of units that we've got here. This is ridiculous. This is going to be like 3 dozen units at least. It's a huge amount that's in here. It's turn 113, and it is time for our evil plan to finally come to fruition. When we click this button, La Venta will become part of our civilization, and with that, every single unit will turn into ours for us to be able to control and inevitably turn towards our opponents. We're now spending quite a bit of resources or quite a bit of gold on maintaining these units, but fortunately, we're going to be able to make short work of it. Let's go ahead. We'll declare a formal war here against Jose Rizal. This has been coming for a long time, Jose. We'll open war details. We'll go ahead and get ourselves a little bit of a lead here when it comes to our war support. And, well, wouldn't you look at it? How many units have we got? I'm tempted to pause it right now just to count. But there's quite a few. Let's start. Now, normally I would play war optimally. And I think when you do something like this, there's no reason to do that. Instead, what you do is just shoot everything, shoot constantly, and don't stop shooting. In fact, just always shooting, always moving. There are so many units here. This is going to take a while. You know, I didn't think this through. Of course, mechanically, it looks great to have all of these units, but actually moving them, just keeping in mind the fact that the AI doesn't actually have any special army commanders, so it means that you can't just suck them all up like this and go, all right, we're just going to move out over here and deploy a little bit later. You don't have that option. So maybe next time we do this, we make a whole bunch of army commanders so that we could hoover everything up and then get them out over a little bit faster. But just look at the amount of units that are out here. We've got a special, excuse me, we've got some barbarians here that have been caught in the crossfire, but it's going to take a while for us to actually move everything across here. This is ridiculous. All right, it's turn 116, and I've approached this with a new strategy. Basically, we're just doing a death push. We're not really attacking, we're just trying to move our units towards the enemy. And we're slowly expanding. We've also got a nice little bit of a flank coming in down by Uluru. Classic Uluru flank on the south side. But we're slowly moving our forces forwards, and we don't really care if they die, because who cares if they die? And one of the great things about this as well is all you need to do is just attack your units forward. and they die. And you've now got yourself a whole bunch of extra space that you can bring more units. So that's really all this is. It's just a whole bunch of clicking and making sure that we're moving forces. We just want to, anywhere that we can move rather than attack, we want to try and do that. Even though we can attack here, we'll just go ahead and we'll just move. But you can see that only one unit can take its spot. So we're going to be very cautious about making sure that when we do attack, we're attacking the right thing. We're moving up and doing all of that. So that's essentially where we're at right now. We're going to continue pushing forward though and making sure that we eventually take him out. We've been watching him all game and finally it's time. We're going down, Jose Rizal. Okay, a little bit of a weird twist right here. We just met Napoleon. You might be wondering, why'd you meet Napoleon there, Drongo? Well, we met Napoleon because he just received one of Jose Rizal's cities. And now that's kicked all of our units out and delayed our push. On top of that, Choctaw was also given away to Machiavelli. I see a little bit of a strategy that's going on here, and I suspect the only way out of this is that we are going to need to declare wars all round. Now, if we do this, it's going to absolutely destroy us when it comes to our war support because of our influence. The way that influence works, or rather war support works, is it's going to make our cities very unhappy. So by declaring war on, say, our friend here, Napoleon, that's really going to ruin things. So it's quite a smart move by the AI to give away these cities. I think we're going to be able to take him out, but it's clear at this stage that we have definitely underestimated the power of the AI and just how many units they have got. This is ridiculous how much they've been able to build up. I think the next time that we do this, we're probably going to look to try and min-max a little bit more with regard to our army commanders, but let's try and work this flank in. I'm confident we can take Cahokia at the very least. It's the end of turn 121, and it feels like we're struggling to make headway. We're getting a little bit through with some of these units, but this is a defensive fortress that we are facing. Perhaps picking the wrong person to play with today. I look down towards the south and think, geez, you know what? Sure would love to attack into all that grassland, but at the end of the day, I mean, there's also defensive structure, defensive improvements that we'd be dealing with, but going up against the Mississippians is difficult. They have these burning arrows. You can see them setting the ground alight here, and it means that any units that we bring up are not only going to be burning, but any of the ground that they attack is also going to be burning for a couple of turns afterwards. So we're trying our best to jam as many units as we possibly can in here. We're starting to lose count on units, or at least lose the count of units. I think we're probably down to about 24 units now. We've definitely lost a lot, that is for sure, but the struggle continues. Can we really jam it all in there? I want to try and get this capital at the very least. It's turn 125 and things are slowing to a crawl. It is almost impossible to attack into this. Not only do we have burning arrows on the backline and wonderful cavalry reinforcements, we've also got a volcano that is just hammering out a huge amount of damage on all of our units. There's lovely choke points in here, and I feel like we may have made the wrong decision attacking into this. It is just a defensive masterpiece. So well played to the Rizal right here. We're going to try and take him out though. So look, it won't be long. It's turn 129 and things are coming to a close here. I don't think we're going to be able to take this capital, which is kind of incredible when you think about it, that we were able to have that many units and yet still the defense has just been insane coming out from this deity AI. So in the end, while we got a lot of units, we didn't really focus on how to best maximize their potential. So I think we definitely needed a few more army commanders, probably needed to bring a few trebuchets or ballistas with us to help us siege this down, because as you can see, there's still quite a few walled districts in here, and that's going to take a lot to work through. We're going to try our best to take it out. Who knows? We might get lucky. On turn 31, just as everything was going absolutely perfectly, Confucius decided it was time to attack, and we're not really in a position to defend against his army to this position, so good luck to our capital, and maybe the second time it falls this game. But as you can see, we're slowly closing out some of these districts here, but we just struggle to get through that final little bit. We can move in and slowly bring these archers up around for position, but even then it's just so hard to work all of these units down, and we're so limited on the amount of angles that we can come through on, so it just doesn't make it easy. There's a beautiful tile if we can actually manage to snag it, so let's go ahead, let's take it. 17 production from the city. I think that should be denied, at least once we get the pillagers off, so that'll feel very good. As the remnants of our army get cleaned up by the reinforcements of the Rizal, it is clear we have failed And it goes to show that even if you invest in a big strategy like this, it doesn't always pay off. So I think at the end of the day, we can walk away with a couple of lessons. Number one, bugs are very cool. I enjoyed playing or having this playthrough right here, even if we didn't perform well. I think number two, we probably leaned a little bit too much into it. I think you can absolutely look to take advantage of this, but centering your entire strategy around it probably would require a couple of tweaks. It's definitely fun, a whole lot of units, but in the end, we just weren't able to pull it off as our empire is slowly burning to the ground by the barbs, by the south from the Confucius attack, and of course, our army is left. We'll leave it there, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching.